What is up, everybody? I am Get Flanked, and in today's video we have the first episode of a new series on the channel. The idea for the series is going to be to show the best 3 sites on a given map and how to defend them, but you're not going to have to hear it from me. I'm actually going to sit down with a pro in this series, and the pro is going to pick the map and tell me what they think are the best 3 sites and give a general concept for how they think that they should be defended. Now, the pro that's actually joining me in this episode is BC of Dark Zero. BC is widely regarded as having one of the best minds in all of Siege, and I know for a fact that he takes particular pride in his defensive setups. Now, the reason that I wanted to make this series is because of the recent changes to ranked, where you go on 3 attack and then 3 defense, or vice versa. It's really important that you as a player know, first of all, what are the best 3 sites on a given map. That's something that's pretty debatable. Like on Oregon, for example, the first 2 are pretty common. You know, people are going to say that Kids and Laundry are the best 2 sites, but what's that third best site? And honestly, the answer that BC gives you might surprise you, okay? So that's the first reason. The second reason is because if you can win all 3 of your defensive rounds, then you're going to win a lot of ranked games, okay? And I think that the general concepts he's going to go over here are really going to help you do that. The last thing I'll say here is that this series is designed to help the widest variety of players as possible. So we're going to go over the 3 best sites. He's going to give his general concepts and some tips for how to defend those sites. But then at the end, he's actually going to break down in really extreme detail a setup for Kid's bedroom upstairs. That part of the end is going to be designed to help the more advanced player. If you're somebody who is more advanced, you might get more out of that than the rest of the video. It'll be timestamped down below if you want to skip forward to that. But again, I think there's a lot of good information in every single aspect of the sites that he goes over. Okay, here I am with BC. Thanks, man, for taking the time to join me on here and kind of explain what you think about Oregon and give us mere mortals some tips and strats on it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm kind of excited to show you the way I play this site, play this game, and see how it compares to how you've been playing in the past.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be a lot different. I can't wait to see what you have to say about it. And you had me come down to the laundry objective here first, so I'm guessing that means that you think this is the best site on the map?
Most of the time, yeah. I think it depends a lot on the meta, which operators are out, what players are running and stuff, but I think most of the time, this is kind of the perfect go-to starting site for Oregon.
Okay, so give me like the key concept. Like if you're saying, what do I have to do in order to successfully defend this objective? Like, what's the big overall concept?
Yeah, so I guess there are a couple ways of playing this site. Like, you can play like an aggressive roam or more site denial. What I want to focus on is basically staying alive up top, and then just being able to hold site late round so they can never get a plant down. So the main focus is being able to hold meeting in tower, and you'll do that with like 2 or 3 players, and then you just bunker site. So the only map control that the attacking team can have is just lobby. So basically when the attacking team gets fed up and not being able to clear meeting in tower, they just start going for plants and laundry, and that's when you're able to deny plant, and then you'll just win off time.
Okay, so how would you suggest that you hold meeting and big tower? Is there something that you have to set up back there in order to do that effectively?
Yeah, there's a few ways of doing it, but the fundamentals are pretty simple. So the idea is you just got to reinforce both these basic meeting walls.
Okay.
And this is just so they can't get long angles on you from lobby or in classroom or anything like that. And then that's where you have to decide whether or not you want to reinforce pantry or have a rotate. It does not matter which one. If you do have a rotate in here, then that allows the attacking team to be more aggressive. So if we just want to play safe, which is what we're going for, we'll just reinforce those walls. We won't bother with tower walls. We'll just have guys be on cams. And then we'll just make sure that we hold drones and delay as much time as possible. There are no tricks or anything like that. We just play close up. We shoot drones. As soon as they start to open walls with a thermite or a hibana, we can back up. And then we can have our tower guy stay in tower, and this meeting guy can just open this hatch if it's not already open and drop down. Okay,
so basically what you're saying is at least 2 people are going to be in this area of the map. One's going to be in meeting, and then one's going to be in big tower. So the guy in big tower is protecting the guy in meeting's back. Is that's the big kind of concept here with this offsite hold?
Yes, holding big tower is basically the staple to the site, and the whole idea of it is you're just preventing the attacking team from being able to, for one, flank tower, but also being able to play these hatches.
Okay, so the meeting guy is going to be is up on stage a good place to be? I mean, Is that okay, or would you suggest somewhere else?
I would suggest playing in the middle of meeting.
Okay.
The reason you don't want to play on stage is you can only give up so many reinforcements, and you're not going to be able to double reinforce backstage here, just with all the basic reinforcements you need with hatches, pantry walls, and stuff like that. So you don't want to get caught stage. So if there's an attacker that comes back to tower, you don't want to be stuck stage.
Okay.
And also, if they do push into meeting from lobby, you're now stuck here as well, and you're forced to take a firefight.
Gotcha.
Whereas if you're in the middle of meeting, you can just easily be annoying, kill their drones, they lose track of you, and then you have an option to retreat. And then usually the best option is to drop.
Okay, and the guy that's in big tower, are you saying that they should play like the normal, like up on these stairs with a line of sight over top, or
yeah? So that's the best, most consistent way of playing it. But yes, this guy's basically a bodyguard for your meeting player at first. So he might move around trying to protect his meeting player depending on where drones are coming from. But once that meeting guy drops, this tower guy is basically just going to make sure that they can't play hatches. So like it could be an ACOG operator like Doc or Maestro or something like that. Then playing the towers, like the tower stairs, is perfect, like you said.
Okay.
If it's like a Jaeger, you might be a little bit more aggressive sometimes.
So the meeting guy is going to eventually probably fall back on this hatch, but the tower guy is probably going to play his life up there and not retreat?
Yes, because that's one of the fundamentals of being able to play site denial is that you don't have to worry about your back.
Okay.
So you have to keep tower control the whole round.
Okay. As far as like on site here, what anything that you absolutely have to do down here?
Yes, actually this is even more important than upstairs. So you're always going to need a rotate here. And I've always called this towels in here. It's kind of an odd call.
Okay.
But we basically say like you need a towels rotate. And this is not just to be able to rotate, but this is where you're going to throw utility from, an angle. And then ideally you'd have a mirror as well. You can do this without a mirror. A lot of times teams have done it, especially when mirror's banned. But you want to have a mirror window or at least a reinforcement on this right side of this closet. And then a small hole to also throw C4s and smokes.
As far
this
as like,
is your main line.
As far as like the operator composition, obviously you mentioned Mira, you mentioned an operator with an ACOG that's probably going to be in big tower. Any other operators that you feel like you need down here? Like, is smoke a must pick down here?
If you want to play like this, smoke is generally a must pick. So if we're thinking of like an overall operator comp, you want vision and you want plant denial. The reason for vision is because you cannot consistently stop a plant, because I mean laundry's pretty big. They can pick a lot of little hiding spots to plant behind, but if they smoke out the room, you don't want to lose right there. So you want to combine vision and plant denial. So that leaves us with like Mira, smoke, a Jaeger to protect us from smokes and grenades because we're playing backline here. We don't want to get naded. And then your other two are kind of like some flex ops, but if we want to add to the vision, we'll pick like a Maestro or a Valk. And then if we want another C4, we could still have that Valk. Maybe we add a Mute. Or nowadays, even Mozzie would be wonderful because you can set up the PES all upstairs in meeting, which prevents droning meeting, and then he can play down here with a C4. So you generally want 2 C4s and smoke.
Okay, last thought for this site. I mean, how do you stop them from just rushing construction? Is there anything that you have to safeguard you from that? Is it...
So at the beginning of the round, since you only have 2 upstairs, you want 3 on site, or 2 on site, and you're 1 guy blue.
Okay.
So you're going to play in blue, and that's to stop a rush.
Okay. And I think you guys previously showed us some pretty cool angles in here. There's this one by the generator and stuff. So you just play a guy in blue, and he's going to be able to stop that rush single-handedly, probably. So, all right, that makes sense. Where are we heading to next? What do you think is the second best objective?
Let's check out dorms.
All right, so here we are in dorms. What makes this site the second strongest?
Well, you have a lot more room to play with. On this site specifically, you kind of have the opportunity to play the whole map. You're not stuck to site. You don't have to pick very specific operators to deny plans, so you have more freedom, which in turn is harder for the attackers to get around and take map control.
Okay, so what's the big concept here? Like, what do I have to focus on as a defender to make sure we win this site?
So the key concept is understanding the two main positions that attackers need to like successfully clear out everybody. And the two spots are small tower, or at least small tower side, so the west side of the map. So basically this window. And then having tower control, big tower control, because that allows them to play in attic. That also allows them to play and rappel on kids' windows or sit runway here. So what we want to avoid as defenders is letting the attackers have both towers.
Okay.
So whatever we do, we got to prevent one of the towers.
Okay, so this site's pretty dependent on an off-site roam. Kind of like you mentioned before with downstairs, you got a whole meeting in big tower. With this one, it's one of the towers.
Right. And it can also be reactionary. Like, we don't have to stuff a tower early. It's just once we know where the attack is coming from, we can start to, like, retake the weak side.
Okay, so a lot of times on this site, you'll see somebody like a defender with an ACOG stay in big tower, even at the beginning of the round. Is that something you recommend, just to put somebody there in the beginning and let them try to hold it / get any picks early? Or were you saying that it's better to late rotate there?
No. I mean, starting in top tower, like, not even an ACOG. I would say, like, putting a Jaeger up in top tower is probably the best play if you want to play over there. For one, he's at 3-speed, so if he has to get out or rotate, flank, whatever, he's the best operator for that. And two, the only real way of clearing tower, like top tower, is with like nades and flashes, Zo stun, stuff like that, and that's where ADSs will help him. So I would actually recommend a Jaeger over a Doc.
Okay. And just to kind of go over your point again, what you're telling me is that as long as I, as a defender, hold big tower, I'm cutting off their attack from the attic or from what we call like highway window here, as well as the kids' windows. And if I, as a defender, hold on to small tower, then I'm going to cut off their attack from this big window. That's the idea?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And this window is actually even more of a priority than big tower, because every single attack usually ends up with some guy here cutting down rotations.
Well, a small tower seems really scary for me as a defender to try to hold. Like, any idea, like, how would I do that?
Yeah, I do not recommend ever staying in here. Like, there's no setup. There's no preemptive, like, utility you're going to use in here at all. It's just, you need to understand that when people are big window, or when teams are clearing this side of the map, that you might have to come back here late round and challenge them. So hiding Vault cams in here is probably the best play to know like where players are in here, where they're holding from. Putting goo mines occasionally in here, maybe like even just in the hallway to understand if players have pushed out this way, is smart. But this is more of a reaction kind of thing rather than setting up.
That makes sense. One of the things that I do in the prep phase whenever I'm defending up here is I will usually I play like a Legion, and I'll actually open this window in the prep phase and shoot out this window over here on attic and then re-barricade this window up. Am I brilliant? Is that smart? Or should I leave that closed? My thinking is that if that's open, they're going to have to worry about that the entire round. Like, I never really feel comfortable as an attacker if that window's open.
Yeah, no, it's definitely smart. You just got to think about what you're trying to do. If you want people to, like, if you want to slow down the attack, then like that's probably the best play you could do.
Okay.
But if you actually want to get a kill here, then you're warning them. You're putting them like in a defensive position. So you just got to figure out what you want to do there.
That's a great point.
Yeah, it just depends on who you're playing.
As far as the people on site, what are the good positions to take up here on site?
Yeah, okay. So most rounds you're gonna have 2 defenders on site. There's not a whole lot of hiding spots since there are so many windows and angles. So that's where you'd have like 3 people roaming, maybe 2 people lower, 1 tower, but generally 2 on site. Ideally, you'd have 1 play here in the kids' dorms, and where he's specifically standing is going to depend on where the attack's coming from. You know, between these 2 windows is smart. This reinforcement should always be here. Some teams will put a second reinforcement here too. This is also really smart, but it all depends if you can spare one.
Does this just block you from the top of white stairs? Is that the idea?
There's a lot more to this. So the top of white stairs, yes, but that's like late round. What it does is help you early round too, because this big window here can't shoot you in kids. They can't see you there. And then also, if they get on your kids' windows, it gives you something to hide behind temporarily.
Okay.
It also allows your guys on white to rotate around a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah, this is probably the most important reinforcement on the site by far.
Okay.
And then this one is really underestimated as well, because now I can play almost in all of Kid's room without being shot from big window or top white.
Okay, so as far as that's one, you mentioned one person in here. Is there where would you recommend that another player play? A lot of times I find myself in this position. Is this weak, or is this a good place to be?
No, this is the strongest spot upstairs.
Okay.
And it's not, but my biggest piece of advice is players shouldn't feel stuck here, because I think a lot of the times, like mid-round, it feels like their attackers are everywhere and you can't move. That's usually not the case. Like, the idea here is you can shut down every single entrance into sight. So, like, you can stop top white, you can rotate lower. This rotate is pretty common and should be done, and you can rotate into Gen, come out into Hall. You can rotate into dorms and kids if you need to, but I would just maybe have a single ADS and then like a piece of barbed wire down white stairs, and then you can play this spot however you want. But even though it feels dangerous, this is the kind of the power spot of sight.
Okay, so your 3 people off site are reacting to what the attackers are doing and trying to keep them from getting too much map control. The players on site, 1 kids, 1 top white. What kind of operators do you recommend as far as the operator composition?
You can be way more flexible on this site than you can with like laundry. I would suggest just some of the staples, like have kind of a versatile lineup, but like Mira, Valk, Smoke, Jaeger. You could have like a Maestro or Legion. Mozzie's also really good lower, but I would say make sure you have at least 1 C4, a couple Intel Ops, a Jaeger to support you, and that's about it. But you can definitely be way more flexible here.
Okay. Do you ever recommend that anybody tries to do anything in Master? Because it seems like a lot of times in rank, that's like the linchpin for me. Like once they open Master wall, everything starts falling apart. Is there anything that you recommend happens over here?
Yeah, so there are teams that can successfully hold Master and just like be aggressive on this side of the map. The problem is there's not enough like there aren't enough walls or cover to consistently play here. It's more of like a tricky thing to do. However, if you do play on this side of the map, I would say reinforce out here, be more hallway focused than inside Master specifically.
Okay.
So if you're hallway focused, then you can put like mute jammers and stuff around, and you'd have a guy in armory as well. So now you've spread out the entire top floor. So you've kind of given up on your lower roam, and you've brought those players upstairs. So now you have full top control with like 1 roamer.
Okay, well, I think that covers the top 2, your favorite 2 sites as far as laundry and kids. This is where it gets a little bit interesting. What are you going to recommend as the 3rd best site on this map?
Definitely tower.
All right,
kitchen.
let's head over there now. All right, so here we are in tower. First of all, just tell me real quick, why do you think tower is better than kitchen?
I feel like, I mean, this is just from my experience, but I feel like with the kitchen defense, you're limited to stopping a plant from small tower side. People have done a lot of little tricky things with angles from showers and long range C4s to stop kitchen plants, but time and time again, if the attackers have easy map control, which they can get most of it just from outside, like opening dining door and stuff like that, then basically a planter can just walk in, plant, and if you miss your 1 C4 or you run out of them, then the round's over. Whereas with tower, it allows defenders to get a little creative, pick some weird ops. You can be super aggressive, you can roam, you can bunker. It's just there's way more variety here on tower, and it feels like a 50-50 toss-up, which is your best chance.
All right, so give me the big concept with tower. What do I have to do to win this site?
Okay, so the 2 main things is you cannot allow attacking teams to get T3, which is what I refer to as this little catwalk for top tower.
Okay.
So that's the biggest thing, because if an attacking team gets in there, their chances of winning is basically none as a defender. Even if you have a number advantage, if an attacking team gets up here, the round is almost over. That's at least the way you should think about it, and that'll lead you to like making better decisions. So we hold that. And then we also have a very light roam on the south and west side of the map. because that will keep people off the tower windows or being safe to be a whole have like 2 or 3 people on tower windows.
So you can keep people off the tower windows by playing like around kitchen, small tower area, and then maybe like around like the armory like white. I'm sorry, the main stairs, armory, master bedroom area. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes, exactly, and even like garage.
Okay. Yep. All right, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, those are the 2 main concepts, and then after that, once you have those 2 staples down, then it's more like creative. Like you can pick different like vision ops. Maybe you have a Valk and you look for opportunities to jump out on players who are repelling tower, or you have a roaming dock over in kids, and so you look for an opportunity to peek a guy on tower. Maybe you have a guy flank basement up through lobby to kill people in meeting, things like that.
Okay, so give me a recommendation for holding the T3. I mean, is there an operator that works really well up there? I mean, I've seen you guys play this before with like a deployable shield up there. Are the new deployable shields going to be like a key to holding up there?
No, I don't think the shields actually change anything up here because it's not a typical fight. I still recommend Jaeger, just like the kids defense. One thing that players will learn though is that this window specifically is kind of the strong spot for an attacker.
Okay.
So however we set up here is to deny getting or dying from this window. These other windows, even though the angles are just as strong, people repelled on these windows can die from your roamer.
Right, because over there's that kitchen, small tower. Okay, gotcha.
Exactly. So even though we have to watch ourselves from dying from these windows, that's not the main point.
So yeah, I gotcha. All right, so this angle right here would be strong against the weakest window there. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so new shields are great. I'll be honest, I haven't even put one up here since the new one. There we go. This is mainly to protect you from like flashes and stuff like that, and somebody repelling in, so you can fight behind it if you want. This isn't well placed, but you get the gist of it.
Yeah.
However, the real key thing here is don't get stuck in one spot, because they're gonna drone you. You don't just want to sit here and then a wild nade comes out of nowhere. Obviously, you'll have a Jaeger, so you can have ADSs and stuff, but you should just assume that a decent coordinated team will start to figure out where you're at and kill you. So you kind of have to move around a little bit, and you have to actually watch underneath you. This window down here, below me, people will just spray up.
Sure.
So you don't want to get comfortable as a Jaeger just like sitting here.
Okay.
So you might have to kill some drones. You might want to prone rotate a little bit, get aggressive on his own window so he doesn't expect you, things like that. But you cannot leave tower. It doesn't matter if there's 3 people on your windows, you don't jump. You have to fight to the death.
Okay. How do I stop just like the really quick come into B, or this is actually a dorm plant? Like how are we protecting this A bomb and area over here?
So yeah, okay. One of the key positions on this one, and you'll have a guy here no matter what style you're playing, but these angles right here on these tower stairs are the best. You don't necessarily have to open it up as aggressively as I did, but you want holes here, maybe some barb, a goo mine. You can have an Ela mine on the window or the door as well, but basically you want to keep pressure on this patio so they are too scared to actually peek it or ever run in.
So do you recommend, I mean, you set up a rotation on this, on the attic, and you recommend having a rotation here? Is there any other way to do it, or is that always a rotation?
Yeah. Some teams, not many, will reinforce it. I advise not. The idea of having a rotate is, for one, I think it's really smart to maybe play a bandit or a mute or a cade or something like that, where you can reinforce these attic walls and you deny them. So if a team decides to clear through like dorms and armory, you can stop them here at attic, and then that kind of puts a full stop in their attack, and they're going to have to go underneath you, which is easy to stop, or they're going to have to rotate, which it's perfect because you now just wasted a ton of time.
Now, if I'm the bandit playing here, what's my goal? I mean, obviously I'm stopping that attack. That's cool and everything, but am I eventually looking to head back this way and just defend T2? Is that what I'm doing?
Yeah, so you'll have to make a judgment decision. If they're sticking on you, then you'll sit here, you'll battery deny or something like that. If they start to get open, you'll drop because you do want to play safe. If they're attacking tower, which in most cases is what's happening, yeah, you would probably rotate and try to reinforce site before they have a chance of actually getting in tower. The problem that teams make is they rotate too late. They'll come back too late, and the attacking team will already be up there, and then this is now a pointless position.
Okay. Is there anything I have to worry about as far as people coming from like the basement up? Do you usually play a roamer on those stairs or anything? I mean,
you will occasionally have a roamer. What I suggest actually is barricading the doors down there. That's so now you don't have to force someone to stay down there.
Sure.
And then you open up the meeting hatches, and you can have some angles from meeting. So,
okay.
So now they think they're safe because there's no roamer down there. But once they've already committed, they're kind of stuck. Now they're in a tough spot. You don't have to waste a player down there, things like that.
So one thing I'm kind of getting from the tower defense here is that it's really reactionary. So if the attackers are going straight tower push, and the defenders are gonna have to do one thing. If they're pushing from the west side, then you got to do another thing. Is that fair to say? I mean, for surely every defense is reactionary, but it seems like this one is really fluid. It just kind of depends on what the attackers are trying to do.
Yeah, exactly, and that is why it's one of the worst sites on the map. Like, it's not bad, but it's definitely, it's third, and it's always been third, and it's just because the layout of the map, the nature of the game, you can't have a hard setup and just like every spot the defenders sit can easily be killed by an attacker. So you just got to move, try to keep track of like where the attackers are and catch them off guard. Like, play aggressive. You do not play safe on this site.
Well,
it's not like laundry at all.
Instead of getting the operator composition for this site, how about like is there a time when you might throw this map out before you go to one of the other two stronger sites to throw the attackers off?
Yeah, no, you definitely can. Like let's say, most teams only bring like one hard breach, like a Therm or a Hibana. Well, that's kind of a wasted operator on this site because there's nowhere to really use any of that utility. They could use it on attic, but if we have a bandit or something like that, we've just covered for that. So bring it out first definitely will catch attackers off guard. However, I think this is one of those sites that takes some experience in getting used to before you could confidently defend it.
Okay, here we are on Kids Room, and we showed earlier an overall concept. We're going to get into the fine details now on how to defend Kids Room on Oregon. Go ahead, BC.
Okay, so the main thing to think of here, or think of this room, is that there are a lot of top-down angles, there's a lot of rotation, and the best operator to play in this room is usually Smoke. Not only for the soft destruction in the shotgun, but he's now got the shield, and just the smokes in general, he can kind of rotate around and easily deny different plant spots. So what I'm going to show you is a setup that I like to play in the past, and it's what I'll play if Oregon ever comes back into my map pool. But I really prefer having two reinforcements, both left and right, and kids, and a huge rotate in the middle. I don't like to deal with the small little rotate where I can't run through. I like to be able to move freely and take any angle cleanly and understand what it's going to look like when I come around that corner. So the idea of these two reinforcements, this one is the main one, and the idea is you can't get shot from big window if you want to play on this left half side or this east side of kids. That's the main idea, but it also allows you or gives you a second pillar if players are top white. You can get different angles on them, throw different smokes, and then also if the team is attacking from kids' windows, it gives you a reinforcement to dip out of kids and play behind. So now the guys on the windows have to worry about two different angles. The second reinforcement is really undervalued, and the idea behind this is that it gives you, it basically gives all of kids' room a bunker. So if you were to run around this room, you can notice that you can kind of deny yourself, or at least give yourself a one-on-one with any window or opening at any point in time in both these reinforcements. It also gives you a second spot to hide behind if you get out of kids and they're on the windows. You can also play in this corner here and not get shot through the mattress or not get shot through top white. So this is kind of the fundamental setup if you can spare two reinforcements for kids.
Okay.
So now if we kind of get into the complexities of the site, your hatch should always be open. You never know when you're going to have to drop out of panic or you need to rotate or anything like that. The glass on the windows needs to be shot out, and this is This is so you can hear repels. This is something that you should get in the habit of doing on any window you need to hear repels, but specifically these two, because you might be caught in the open.
Okay.
Holes in the bottom of the windows. This is so if you ever have roamers defending or helping you from lower, they can shoot anyone who repels in. So even though we won't use these too often, these specific holes, it's for our teammates to support us. There'll be an ADS here behind me. I can't do that as smoke, but if I have a Jaeger on my team, I would ask him to put an ADS here. And now here's where, again, we get a little bit deeper. So if we start making shotgun holes down here, I can now see kitchen door.
Okay.
And now with this reinforcement, I can sit here, I can shotgun through 2 walls, and I can see into bathroom, into near bottom white stair.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great line of sight there.
And then again, back over here in this corner, on this side, to make a couple holes, I can actually see dining door. So even though it feels like a lot of soft destruction, it's really simple. You'll have plenty of ammo when you're done. You have enough maneuverability in and out of sight, so if they're on your windows, and more importantly, if you are safe, you can support your entire team kitchen. Like, there's not a single entrance in kitchen that players can entry without you being able to shoot them or at least call them out.
This is really interesting because, you know, I think one of the reasons that that comes to mind for me, like, I feel like if I'm doing this, then I'm worried about these windows, but you're saying that your teammates are going to hold these windows for you from like big tower or something like that to try to allow you, room to maneuver in here, because obviously if you have somebody repelling on your windows, that really limits what you can do in here.
Yeah, and I mean, but we want to prep site such that no matter what the attackers do, we are still kind of prepared. We need to make it where the site can be universally played, whether we're getting attacked from the windows or whether we're getting attacked from armory side or even small tower and like white stairs. So we may not be able to use all these holes every round, like you said. Let's say they're on my windows or something. Maybe my guy in tower died, or our tower guy forgot to go there, rotated out. So like we may not be able to play some of this stuff depending on the windows, but that's okay, because if they repel in, that's where the guys lower could kill them.
So which of these these lines of sight do you feel like you get the most kills with? Like, is there one that you're like, man, this one works way more than it should?
Yeah, so okay, as being the smoke up here, these holes on the windows again won't be used that often. These two by kitchen will get you quite a few kills. Attackers like to think the bathroom is clear. You can also even have another teammate down in bathroom, and you can bait him basically. So they think they're safe, and then you shoot them from above. I get a lot of kills just right here. Very simple. You're super safe. And then this one is really tricky. Very few people are actually using this one. And that's just because a lot of attackers don't go down through that door. But you got to remember, like, maybe it might not even be players entering kitchen. They might be leaving kitchen, and you can catch them in the back. That's another way to think about it. So basically, people shouldn't be allowed in the room at all, but if they do, they shouldn't be allowed out.
Gotcha.
So that's the basic setup, and then you should probably start bringing shield to smoke. And this is where we set it up right here, the very typical basic shield. And this helps. So now not only can you help yourself, your own little bunker, but now you can even overextend a little bit and fight people armory side. Allow you to peek, be a little bit more aggressive, stop plants on that side of the map.
And there's not a line of sight from big window to right there. That's still protected. Nope. That's really great.
Yep.
Yeah, that shield is amazing actually.
Yeah, it's even better with the updated shields. You can turn them at an angle if you want, because maybe we want to look into generator a little bit.
Oh,
so now I can see through this window, and I can see if they open master closet. So if you go ahead and check behind that shield. Now if they make a rotate right here, you should be able to see me.
Yeah.
And you're safe.
Yeah. As long as you have control of white stairs and kids, you're good to go right here, and you're holding down really the whole site. I mean, that's great.
Exactly. If you have the proper support, you're basically a one-man army in this room. But that's That's basically it, and it's all totally reasonable, and this setup can be done every single round.
So when you play this, do you find yourself like as the round goes on, like early round, you're checking your kill holes, you're looking for people to be coming based upon sound and calls you're getting, and then this is more of like a late round situation where you're out here about this shield?
Yeah, so I would basically suggest being on cameras because they can't kill you right away. You know, like beginning round, stand between the windows, get on cams, just understand very quickly where people are coming from. Are they coming from tower side? Are they coming from small tower side? What's going on? You know, if they're coming from small tower side, there's a good chance they'll go down into dining as well. So now you know that you can be on these holes and be ready. But if you don't think they're going dining side, then you can be more prepared for armory stuff around the shield.
Okay. All right, that's awesome, man. Thank you for breaking down Kids Room. Like, just shows the depth of this game and your knowledge that you can spend literally 10 minutes talking about one room on one objective. That's awesome. But I learned a lot here, and definitely some things I'm going to try and put into my own game. So I think that's going to just about do it. That's the 3 best sites on Oregon, broken down by BC. Thank you so much for taking the time, man. There's a lot of great knowledge here. Anything else you want to say before we go?
No, just thanks for having me, or thanks for having me. I hope you guys do learn something, and I'm excited to see what comes out of it.
It's gonna be great, man. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys on the next one.